Order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Rodriguez. Rogers.
Present.
Sexton. Sollard.
Here.
Dorsland.
Here.
Vanish Theonaut.
Here.
Wiggs.
Here.
Wilson. Cagle.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Cowart. Crane.
Here.
Esri.
Here.
Farney.
Here.
Fava.
Here.
Furtado. Greer.
Here.
Hanauer Friedman.
Here.
Lokshin.
Here.
Pugh.
Present.
Locke.
Here.
We have a quorum. All right, for tonight's prayer. Open my mind to what is true and what is just. Help me to see through deception with a clear eye and act with integrity and compassion. May I see others not for just who they seem to be, but for who they are. Please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Matt, would you please read the notice of the meeting?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois will convene on September 18th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. in the Shields Carter Meeting Room, Benton Administrative Center, 102 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees, and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Esri, second, Forsland. All right. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Beth.
Thank you. I would like to propose a friendly amendment to move the ARPA update from 17A1 to 11 just after public input.
Okay, is there a second?
I have a second one.
Second.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
sorry,
we
go
can
ahead.
Move board communications to 18 and then move just after other business.
Okay. All right. Second, Sollard. All in favor of the amendments to the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Motion carries. All in favor of the amended agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-264, appointing Monique Settles as a County Board member in District 10 to fill Jason Votava's unexpired term ending November 30, 2026? Motion by Locke. Second. Yes, second by Carter. I'll say who the second is. Thank you. I'm chairing. I recognize people before they speak for all members. Those are the rules for everybody. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, JJ.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, since we had some trouble here, did we make sure that there's no issue, and this is not about Ms. Settles at all, but I want to make sure that we made it clear that Mr. Votava sat in that seat for a while, so we're past the 60 days from when Mr. Storr resigned. Did we make sure that this is absolutely positively legal?
That is my understanding. Yes, JJ. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Welcome. There will be more applause in a bit. Where's Matt? Oh, Matt. How about right here in front of the seal? That would be great. Ms. Settles, could you move over here? We're going to have a photo op after we get you sworn in.
I, Monique Settles,
I'm Monique Settles.
having been appointed to the position of County Board Member District 10
Having been appointed to the County District 10
in the state of Illinois and the county of Champaign aforesaid,
in the County of Champaign in the state of Illinois,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will fully discharge the duties of the position of County Board Member to the best of my abilities.
break that up. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of the County Board Member to the best of my abilities.
You're sworn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Get some pictures. Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. The date and time for the next regular meetings are listed on the agenda. Moving on to employee recognition. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-260 honoring county employees for years of service? Motion by Carter, second by Lokshin. Would the policy chair like to read the resolution? Beth?
Thank you. Resolution number 2025-260, resolution honoring county employees for years of service. Whereas it is the vision of Champaign County Board to be a recognized leader in local government, where every official and employee has a personal devotion to excellence in public service and embraces the highest standards of ethics and integrity, which enables Champaign County to provide the best customer services to its citizens. And whereas one element of pursuing this vision is communicating to employees that their service to Champaign County is valued and appreciated, and whereas Champaign County employees admirably serve the people of Champaign County with full commitment to the responsibilities of county offices, work in partnership with fellow employees and county officials, and have dedication to the best interests of all the people of Champaign County, and whereas the Champaign County Board wishes to recognize the dedication and service of the employees who have reached 5, 10, 15, 20, and 40-year milestones in September 2025, now therefore be it resolved that the County Board of Champaign County hereby recognizes each of the aforementioned Champaign County employees as an asset to the citizens of Champaign County and expresses gratitude and sincere appreciation for their years of service. Presented, adopted, approved, and recorded this 18th day of September, AD 2025. I will read the names. Alexander James, Sheriff, 5 years of service. Duran Bryce, Sheriff, 10 years of service. Andrew Griffith, Probation and Court Services, 10 years of service. James Oliver, Physical Plant, 15 years of service. Lori Hanson, Circuit Court, 20 years of service. Bill. And Teresa Zeb, Probation and Court Services, 40 years of service. Thank you all.
All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for your service. 40 years. Wow. I'm sorry. Shannon, sure, come forward.
Hi, if I have an employee recognition, I'll try to be here every single time. So I just wanted to say a couple of things about both Andrew and Teresa. Andrew is here tonight, and Andrew works as a supervisor out at the Juvenile Detention Center. Andrew started as a part-time master control worker at the detention center. He moved on to a full-time detention officer. He also ended up working a little bit of time over at probation as a juvenile probation officer for our juvenile high-risk officer. And then he became an assistant superintendent out at JDC in 2020. So he's been a supervisor out at the detention center since 2020. And so I worked with Andrew when I still was working out at the detention center myself. So I feel very confident in Andrew's abilities. He has good attention to detail. He's a good trainer. He does a good job with our new employees. And Andrew's been through a lot at the detention center. It's hard when we have a lot of new people who haven't gotten that experience to kind of know what to expect or what could happen. It's an environment where anything can happen. And with Andrew's years of experience, he's seen a lot of things. So we feel very comfortable having Andrew as a supervisor, and we are very confident in his abilities. So Andrew's actually supposed to be at work right now. So we have somebody who's working for him right now so he could run down here for this thing, and he'll be going back out to work tonight. But whenever I know that Andrew is working, I always feel at ease and comfortable knowing that he'll make good decisions with what's going on at the detention center and work well with our juveniles who are in crisis. He does well with difficult people, parents, anybody who's struggling. Andrew is very skilled at kind of de-escalating situations, and we are very lucky to have Andrew because we don't have a lot of long-term employees at the detention center these days. So we are very lucky to have Andrew at the detention center. And then I just wanted to say, Teresa could not make it tonight. One of her grandkids has a ball game, so she chose to go to that instead. But just to recognize the fact that Teresa has worked in our department for 40 years. I mean, that is insane. I mean, most people don't stay in a job for 10 years these days. To have stayed in the same department for 40 years. I mean, I was 6 years old when Teresa started in our department. So it's just crazy to think that she has worked in our department for as long as she has. She's our juvenile probation supervisor. She's been in that role since 2008. She worked at the detention center herself. She was a supervisor out there for a while. She's always worked with juveniles. And just a few things about Teresa, since even though she isn't here, I just wanted you to kind of know a little bit about the work that she's done over her 40-year career. She's always helping. She will sit at our front desk sometimes and answer the phone. She will supervise drug tests. She's one of those people that whatever needs done, Teresa will do. She's not like, oh, I'm the supervisor. I'm not going to do that kind of work. She'll do whatever needs to be done. She chips in whenever we need to do staff celebration. So if we need to bring in treats for something, Teresa's always like, oh, I'll give, this, or I'll go get bagels or whatever. She's had a long history of supervising our probation interns. So she worked with the U of I School of Social Work for a long time, and she'll supervise our interns. Her staff, some of them you met back in July, who have 25-year careers going for them. She's had a very consistent staff that she does a lot of work fostering a close-knit group. She's very empathetic and understanding and approachable and flexible. So we have been very lucky to have Teresa. And whenever I need to get some historical reference on something, I always go to Teresa. So we are very lucky to have Teresa in our department. So 40 years is an amazing career. And then I'll just say real quick, even though Lori is not, I'm not affiliated with Lori Hansen in my department. I work with Lori a lot, and Lori's been instrumental in helping me as I've switched to this role in my current position. So we are lucky to have Lori as well. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is public input. And we've got a lot of people that are wanting to speak, so I would ask everyone to make sure that you are courteous in your comments and We're also limiting this to 5 minutes, and we will be enforcing that 5-minute time limit. We generally designate about an hour for public comment. We will see if we do well on that. Let's see. First up, I have Linda Hamilton.
Good evening, members of the Champaign County Board. I'm Linda Hamilton, and I live at 406 South Briarfield Court in Mahomet. My husband Rick and I want to express our serious concerns regarding the Summit Ridge Solar Farm project. We were notified yesterday of a letter from Summit Ridge to this board of a potential threat of a lawsuit if you do not vote in favor of the solar farm. I want to first start out by saying Webster defines the word coercion as the act of compelling someone to do something against their will, using force or threats. Webster defines bullying as the act, or words intended to intimidate. And finally, Webster defines intimidation as the act or process of making someone fearful, timid, or scared by using threats. As Paul Harvey would say, now for the rest of the story. The proposal plan to erect a chain link fence, among other factors, will undoubtedly alter the natural habitat and the appearance of our community. The changes go beyond aesthetics, and it touches every ecosystem that makes this community unique. We have migratory birds, we have resident eagles, and we have a wetland. Tools like the EchoCat and the IPAC are not sufficient to fully assess or protect these delicate habitats, especially given the removal at least 1 acre of timber. During the ELUC meeting, the company claimed that their pollinator seed mix will restore endangered orchids. Most orchids thrive in specific habitats such as woods, prairies, bogs, marshes, moist and spongy soils, none of which are supported by the soil composition in my garden, and I'm going to be living close to this area. Additionally, the seed mix submitted in the May packet did not include any orchid species. The SRE, which is Summit Ridge, referenced the Loyola University study conducted in 2024 for the amount of decreasing in the value of your property. In that same article, there was a study by Berkeley National Lab that found statistically significant adverse home sale price impacts for homes in rural areas where solar farms were built on previously agricultural land. In a 2023 article from Science Direct, it also states that there is a decreased value in rural homes. Again, this is rural, this is not city, of 2.5 to 5.8% of the value of the house. Every article that is written that states that it doesn't lower your property, you can find articles that say it does. Just be sure the study is for rural homes. SRE states that they are committed to designing the project so that it responds to community concerns. The same community, it was reluctant to engage in community outreach meetings prior to their waiver. The reasoning that the outreach becomes negative and unproductive. This is not a justifiable excuse for avoiding open dialogue. In addition to all of these statements, questions of the validity of the noise assessments have also arisen. For instance, the calibration certificate for the noise study was expired at the time of the survey. And though they did give us an updated one, there was no new study redone on the noise. Before I close, there is a statement on page 7 of their September 17th letter. They stated that the county has no discretion to deny compliant projects and that this particular project is financially viable and moving quickly towards construction. Contrary to claims that Summit Ridge has met all requirements, waivers are still being requested, indicating standards are not being fully met. If it's true the county has no discretion, then why are we wasting multiple board members' valuable time and taxpayer money if you don't have any discretion in this matter? Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Hambleton. Thank you. Debbie Bunch.
My name is Debbie Bunch, and I reside at 405 South Briarfield Court. My husband Dan is going to help with the posters I have brought with me tonight. My husband's parents bought the lot where we lived the same year we got married in 1987. It is a nice half-acre lot that already had a two-car garage built on the property. They just needed to add the home. We purchased the property from them in 2003, 22 years ago. I have brought these posters with me tonight just in case you did not get a chance to visit the site of the proposed solar farm in person. I will not dwell on this first poster long because I know it is not 100% accurate. The top picture was taken close to the time of the first ZBA meeting back in February. The deer in the field of the proposed solar farm. The middle picture is my grandson and husband watching the deer through binoculars in our driveway. They are looking in the direction where the 1 acre of existing trees will be removed, so the proposed solar panels will not be in the shade. The third picture are AI-generated solar panels placed in the field. I know they are too close to the property line. I know the 7-foot wooden fence is not there, and the 5-foot evergreen trees are not included either. Moving along to the second poster, I was having a tough time visualizing the 378 feet from my neighbor's house and the 386 feet from the house across the street to where the project starts. So I measured from the end of the cul-de-sac going south to see which neighbor's house I would be in front of at 386 feet. 386 feet from the end of the cul-de-sac would be the equivalent of 4 houses' front yards. When I'm standing 386 feet from the end of the cul-de-sac, I can see everything about the field clearly. Now we are seeing the measurement of 417 feet. So the developer is measuring up to the solar panels now instead of the fence or trees. In the third poster, my house is the red box. You can clearly see behind my house and my neighbor's house across the street behind our backyards are true meadows, grassy areas typically used for hay. I mention this because the developers have said that after decommissioning, that is what the 36 acres will be, a meadow. It is currently best prime farmland. I believe I heard at one point during a prior ZBA meeting that Spring Lake itself is 32 acres, almost the exact same size as the proposed solar farm. As you can see, there are many houses just in this picture alone, and there are even more to the south. The first picture on the fourth poster is taken from Spring Lake Road, or also known as 125 East, looking at the field this spring before the corn had gotten too tall. In the background are some of the trees that will be cleared. The middle picture is from my front porch steps. Since my garage is detached, this is the view anytime I leave my house. The final picture is from my porch swing. I really do not want to think about this view changing. In conclusion, I must fall back on something I have already said at the May ZBA meeting. I am 59 and my grandmother lived to be 100, so I have potential to do the same. Most of us in this room will not be here in 30 to 40 years to see how all of this would pan out and what impact it could have on the land, Spring Lake, and most importantly, the Mahomet Aquifer. We would not be here to see how decommissioning works or if it creates a big mess for the future Champaign County Board. It is too bad we live in a state that will let the public voice their opinion at 5 meetings over a 6-month period, knowing all along what the outcome will end up being. It is sad that as county board members, you are not allowed to be good stewards of the land and the environment and vote on each project based on local criteria and not state statutes. It is also sad that the only benefit that the residents that live closest to the project have been offered is the ability to pay a subscription fee to save a percentage on our bill, which for all we know could net out to zero savings. Thank you for your consideration on this matter.
Thank you. Right, next is Nick Taylor.
My name is Nick Taylor, longtime resident in Mahomet, longtime realtor, and also a longtime developer in that area. I have a property at 1617 North Shore Drive. I would encourage you to take a look at the size of this project. It's the equivalent of, just was mentioned, of Spring Lake itself, but it's the size of 6 to 7 football fields. I would encourage you to take a look at the outcome of this. It will stop the growth on the west side of Mahomet, and it will basically shut that off and force it strictly to the east. So my encouragement to you, thank you for your time, I would encourage you not to vote for this project positively. I'd vote for you to vote no. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Matthew Corey.
Evening, County Board members. My name is Matt Corey. I live at 1516 North Shore Drive. My property will back right into the back of this solar property. Within an acre. Let's just give or take a little bit here. I'm going to quote something Mr. Farney said at the ELCU meeting. There is 260,000 acres in the city of Champaign County, and we're going to put this right next to a subdivision that has been in Mahomet 53 years. Really would like you to consider that. You're giving waivers to a company that's asking to put something in where it's not supposed to be. That's why you got the waivers, correct? I do believe so. If we don't follow the rules that y'all have set, then why are we here? Why are you here? Nobody has an answer for that. I'll quote something you said the other night too. You said it's not horrible to have this around us. I beg to differ. Put it in your backyard. Put it where you see every day. Put it by something you drive by every day. Come home to, go to work, go to school. Put the 14 or 16 telephone poles at your entrance of your driveway and tell me how fun that is to look at every day. I really would like you to vote this down. Follow your rules that you have set for everybody. Follow the standards. It's very hard to sit here and look at all of you and not see that you're not going to follow these rules and you're going to let this company try to bully you. As you can see, I'm shaking. I hate talking. I don't want to talk, but I have to voice my opinion. I have lived at this property 53 years, and all of a sudden, it's not my view. I paid for this property. I own this property. If you want to take the view from me, fine, take it. But don't put an industrial park in the back of it. It's zoned as Ag 1. It's agriculture land. It's not for industrial. If it was, I would have never bought it. Please vote it down, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Karen Hansen.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Karen Hansen, and I live at 2216 County Road 0 in Mahomet. I'm not going to lie, I'm really struggling with what to say tonight. I waver between speaking how this is some sort of tyranny or saying, in my worst moments, that I hope they put an industrial solar farm right next to all your houses, ask for a waiver to put it exactly on your property line, and not give you any compensation, which would be unfair. To saying I feel betrayed, but knowing that I'll come speak up for you, how you won't even think about speaking up for me, because it's the right thing to do, even though I really don't feel like doing it. I'm tired of being here. I'm tired of voicing my concerns, and I'm most of all tired of being heard, but then being told it doesn't matter. We have to do this. I'm tired of cowards who won't stand up for what's right. What happens if all our worst fears are true? What happens if we have to suffer the dire consequences? We'll have no recourse, and we'll have to suffer them alone. I implore you all to show bravery. This project has yet to be given a majority of yes votes, so why pass it now? We're asking you to obey the rules already in place. I won't have to look at this solar farm, except the multiple times a day that I drive past it, but I will have to look at the one that is directly across the street in my house that was approved by Piatt County. I'm here today, and so many other times, to stand with my neighbors, because forcing someone to do something that they don't want to do is wrong. If a large crowd would be here and they were all filled with people that said, yeah, I want that, then I'd have to just deal with it and move on. But no one who's here, who's saying anything and is speaking out against, speaking for this, is anyone who is not getting a monetary kickback for this project. And most of the time, all the time, they have zero consequences if there are any issues or any problems in the future. So I ask you, I implore you to stand with the people here who have shown up time and time and time and time and time and time again to say no and stand with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Sproul.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Sproul, and I don't work, I'm retired, my goodness. I live at 408 South Briarfield Court. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for serving your communities and our county. Yours is not an easy job. Second, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be heard. We appreciate it very much. A lot of facts, opinions, and speculation have been presented over the last few months. I'm not going into details. I realize that you are in a hard spot. The state leaders have already ordered you, or should I say bullied you, into changing your ordinance to meet their standards. Does that make them right? No. I'm sure none of them are living next to a solar farm. Does it make it hard for you to vote for what is right? I'm sure it does. And even harder now that you've been threatened with a lawsuit by the petitioner. Again, bullied because our state leaders have paved the way for them. The petitioner even admitted that they did not hold town meetings because they knew there would be opposition. I guess they thought we wouldn't find out what they were proposing, or maybe they figured it wasn't worth their time to be a good neighbor since it was a done deal. We are asking, that you consider whether our state leaders, excuse me, have ordered these mandates for the good of your neighbors, the people that voted you into office, who rely on you to represent them and protect them and their way of life here in Champaign County. Today it's Mahomet. Tomorrow it could be the community that you represent. We heard Mr. Hall say at the most recent ELOC meeting, yes, I did watch that live stream, that staff had expected these type of projects to taper off, but they are not. They're getting more and more interest. Current projects haven't even called for inspections. Now your staff has to use their time and resources to find out the status of these projects that you've already approved. Who's making sure they're built properly? The staff is already overwhelmed, thanks to the state leaders who have opened our state and our neighborhoods wide open to out-of-state developers targeting small tracts of farm ground. How long will it be until all the small farms are gone? Why is Illinois willing to continue to give up prime farm ground for the next 35 to 40 years for projects like this? They say it will benefit the neighborhood because residents can sign up and receive discounts on our power bills, but no one seems to know what that process is. The provider said, contact Ameren. Somebody did contact Ameren. Ameren said, contact the provider. What are we to do? Maybe now is the time for communities and counties across Illinois to say no to the bullies in Springfield, before Illinois is no longer known as one of the larger producers of corn, soybean, and wheat, but become known as the state that gave up its resources in order to promote out-of-state companies that thought small-town Illinois was a soft touch and that we wouldn't stand up for what is right, because the state leaders have welcomed them with open arms. Please vote no on this request and this project. We are not against solar. Let them find a different place to put their project. Don't make it easy for them to ruin our state's legacy. We have to start somewhere to stand up for what is right for us and our fellow neighbors in Champaign County, which includes each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Sproul.
Good evening. I also want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. My name is David Sproul, and my wife just told you we live at 408 South Briarfield Court in Mahomet. We've been there for 18 years. This project is right next door to our subdivision of Briarfield Acres and also the Spring Lake subdivision. I'm here tonight to once again speak out in opposition to the Mahomet, Illinois Solar One project that is planned for that location. The many reasons for our opposition have already been expressed by us and many others at the previous committee meetings and via emails to all of you. There is no need to repeat them tonight. Yesterday evening, we received a copy of the letter that the board has received from Summit Ridge that threatens Champaign County with legal action if the board does not grant their waiver petitions. I have read the letter in its entirety. The petitioner states that if the project meets the requirements as set forth by the state of Illinois, then the board has no choice but to approve it, regardless of your existing county ordinances or the approval of the citizens of Champaign County. This letter and the state mandates are nothing short of intimidation. So who is running Champaign County? The duly elected county board or the state? Perhaps it's time that Champaign County stand up to the state and refuse to comply with ridiculous mandates that countermine the will of the people. County boards should be running their counties, not state-sanctioned or corporate bullies. I find it interesting and quite disturbing that when under questioning by the ELUC, Summit Ridge stated they did not conduct any community outreach because they knew that there would be opposition and they simply did not want to hear from the community. There was even a snide reference to the red shirts in the room that we wore as a sign of opposition unity. The arrogant attitude was obvious. Summit Ridge does not care about our community or its citizens. To them, rural Illinois is just a bunch of uneducated rednecks in a Midwest flyover state. They want us to just shut up and go away. So what does Summit Ridge care about? Let's be real. They do not care about the environment. They do not care about our community. They do not care about the people. All they care about are profits. This project has nothing to do with saving the planet and everything to do with making money. There is strong opposition from the local community as evidenced by the many residents participating at the hearings and over 400 signatures on a petition opposing this project. I strongly urge you to follow the recommendation from ZBA and ELUC and vote no on the Summit Ridge waiver requests. Voting no on these waivers does not prevent Summit Ridge Energy from building a solar farm in Illinois. It only tells them that Champaign County is not willing to vacate existing ordinances for this particular project. They can find 36 acres somewhere else. I really don't care how much money and time they have invested in this project to date. Maybe they should have consulted the local community before they took it this far. That's on them, not us. Thank you for your service to our county, and again, I urge you to vote no on the Summit Ridge Energy waiver request for Mahomet, Illinois Solar One. Stand up for your citizens. Stand up for what's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mike Murphy.
Hello, I am Mike Murphy. I'm the president of the Mahomet Spring Lake Association, and I'm here representing our 73 members in opposition to the Summit Ridge Solar Farm. You all should have received a cover letter from the association board along with the summary of our members meeting in June. I won't be redundant by going over the information you've already received from us, but I do want it clearly stated that the vast majority of our members are opposed to the solar farm. Please protect our 32-acre lake. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Harmon.
Can you turn it to green? Green means go. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, I didn't wear glasses up here. My name is Diana Harmon. I live on 1705 West North Shore Drive, right on the lake. And I don't really have a lot to add. I think everybody that has spoken so far has really clearly shared all the feelings that I have about this project. You know, if this was the right place for a solar farm, aka industrial complex, there wouldn't need to be all these waivers or changes in ordinances. It's simply not the right place, and I ask that you would vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexis Godby.
Hi, my name is Alexis Godby. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I apologize if I seem a little unwell this evening. I just had surgery and a biopsy performed yesterday, to which now I await the results to tell me if I have cancer or not. I should be at home recovering, but instead it's too important for me to be here because this decision matters deeply to me, my family, and my neighbors. I especially felt the need to speak after learning about the threatening letter from the developer yesterday. That kind of intimidation has no place in a fair decision-making process. No outside corporation should be allowed to override local voices through fear tactics. I know each of you carries a heavy responsibility, and I do not envy the tough decisions that you have to make. I also know every one of us here has our own struggles that others may never see. That's why I believe it's so important to lead with compassion and think carefully about how projects impact real families, real people, just like you and me. I do understand the desire to transition to renewable energy. However, I am against placing a private, large-scale industrial project in a location that is unsafe, irresponsible, and harmful to the very people that you represent. The location is reckless. The site slopes directly into Spring Lake, which connects to the Sangamon River, and it's only 65 feet from an active railroad. In July, a train derailed on that same railroad. Imagine if that happened at the project site, right into the panels or electrical equipment. The developer previously mentioned they will attempt to control soil erosion, but it's impossible to stop. Spring Lake members are paying thousands of dollars for a multi-year dredging process. What happens if the solar project substantially increases the sediment in Spring Lake? Can the developer be held responsible in writing to pay to remove the excess sediment? I would hope the entire HOA would not have to pay extra to upkeep the health of the lake due to fault of the developer. There are also serious concerns about emergency access. Spring Lake Road is the only way in and out of our neighborhood. The developer admitted construction could take about 9 months. That means heavy trucks, parked equipment, and congestion on our road for 9 months. Who would be held liable if an ambulance or a fire truck couldn't get through? Would that be the developer or the county? Summit Ridge Energy started in 2017 as noted on their website. They admitted in a previous meeting that they have no decommissioning experience. They have no before and after soil studies to prove the land will recover. If they lose funding or go bankrupt, who will clean up the mess? These are not minor questions. They go to the heart of protecting our homes and our county. Can you in good conscience put your name on a project with so much risk and uncertainty? I wanted to mention again that a petition opposing this location has gathered 419 signatures to date, and it continues to grow. I can provide a copy if you guys would like to review it. That's not just me or those sitting in this room today. That's hundreds of voices asking decision makers like you to protect our homes and allow solar to be built responsibly away from neighborhoods like Spring Lake. At every meeting, residents have shown up, written emails, voiced concerns. Meanwhile, the landowner has never once spoken up in support in person or in email. That silence says more than words ever could. I plead with you to stick up for me, for us, the neighbors who will see it, hear it, and live with the consequences every single day. Please do not let the threat of legal trouble bully you into voting yes. Other counties in Illinois have started denying solar projects for being in the wrong location, such as Tazewell, Winnebago, Will, and Madison. Another reason for their denial was they did not want to violate their oath of office to represent the county and the local residents. Champaign County would have full support from its residents in the event of a theoretical lawsuit, and you are also far more likely to have lasting support and respect from your constituents by standing firm in your own views. If you allow yourselves to be bullied by an outside company, how can we trust you to represent the majority in other matters? As our elected officials, you should be able to weigh the facts, listen to the people you represent, and make the best decision for Champaign County without being pressured by the threat of a lawsuit. So when your term on the county board is over, how would you want to be remembered? As the board that handed our community to an outside developer because of threats, or the board that stood up for the majority, for safety, and protected what made our area worth living in? Ask yourselves honestly, if this project were proposed next to your home, outside your child's bedroom window, near your well, beside the lake that your family enjoys, or on the road that your family relies on in an emergency, would you honestly call it low impact? If the honest answer is no, then the right decision tonight is also no. Please protect your Champaign County residents and their homes, and please deny the waivers and vote no for the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyler Bozarth.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us all a short amount of time here to speak to you guys. I know it may not be as important to you, but it's definitely important to us to be heard. I'm here to speak about the proposed solar project, obviously. And I'm not against solar energy as a whole, but like all things, it just needs to be placed in responsible locations and done responsibly. That wouldn't risk any or have any potential risk to its neighbors, whether it be residential or commercial. If you can dress up whatever name you want on this project, whether you want to call it community solar or whatever, at the end of the day, it's an industrial power facility. So just keep that in mind while you're voting to put it by a residential neighborhood. At the last ELUC meeting, one of your county board members brought up a great question about community outreach, and a couple other people have spoken about it already, so I won't go too much into detail there. But the developer stated they purposely chose not to because it gives people more time to mobilize against the project. That's an exact quote. You can watch the video and you will find that. Interesting that a community solar project wants zero community involvement and doesn't want to answer any of our questions. Now we're here, we're frustrated with the lack of care from the developer and that we have for our community, which has now escalated into a potential lawsuit against our Champaign County if you don't vote yes tonight. Not to mention, they're refusing to commit to local labor for a project, for this project, even though it's been asked for at multiple levels of the approval process, and refuses to be committed to. Luckily, we do have all of you to protect our community and against such companies, and you shouldn't be afraid to make them an example for future companies that do want to come do business in our great county. We keep hearing about the Illinois state law, of which you all have to follow. While this may be a law now, doesn't mean it's going to stand long term. We all know how the government works. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And we do know that laws change and can be altered as we learn more information. Green energy is still very young. It's actually been said multiple times by your own county board members that it's young. So we're still learning about it, and we should be very cautious when making decisions about it, especially when it affects your neighbors and your residents of your county. A good example of someone who just changed their stance is USDA. They recently changed their stance against solar on prime farmland, which is what this land is, prime farmland. I would hate for this group to make a careless decision because you have to, when government organizations are already beginning to change their stance. The only thing you have to do is protect your community and those you care about. 2 groups have already reviewed this project and recommended a no due to concerns they had about the project. It's now up to you to protect your community like they did. Please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget Callahan. Green.
Okay, thank you. I'm Bridget Callahan, and I'm representing Mahomet Illinois Solar One LLC, which is owned and managed by Summit Ridge Energy. We are the developer and long-term owner of the solar project. I want to first acknowledge that Maura Cronin was unable to attend tonight's meeting, so I'll be representing our development team. You'll also hear from my colleagues Dale Johnson, who leads our civil engineering team, Kyle Hawkinson, who leads our project management team, and our project counsel, Ben Jacoby. I want to acknowledge and thank the board and the community for your attendance and attention this evening. I understand it's a very complex issue. Just to give a brief overview of the project, the solar project's located on approximately 36 acres of property south of US Highway 150 and east of Spring Lake Road. The project is 4.99 megawatts, which in simple terms is large enough to power about 1,200 homes. The board members also have received a site plan as well. I did want to present some of the key benefits for the project quickly. So first and foremost, property taxes. This project will add to the overall tax base for the county at a rate 7 times the current tax rate of those 2 parcels. Secondly, jobs. During the 8 to 9 months of construction, the project will offer 15 to 30 construction jobs. Those would be paid at prevailing wage rates. And then after construction, there are ongoing operations and maintenance jobs as well. Third, American-made panels. We're proud of our partnership with QSOL's Hanwha that allows us to support a domestic supply chain here in the U.S. Fourth, in terms of agricultural use, the project siting does allow for continued farming on the remainder of the parcel. It's not being used for solar. And then additionally, the project does allow for future agricultural use as well after the decommissioning, and that's in compliance with our agricultural impact mitigation agreement. This is a community solar project, which has been discussed. So that means that we're offering a cost savings on the Ameren rate. So the cost savings are shared between commercial and residential partners, which are also known as subscribers. That does offer those subscribers the ability to pay less than what they're paying to Ameren. Moving on, just talking about our process to date, the application for special use was submitted in January, on January 3rd. The project first appeared before the Zoning Board of Appeals on February 27th. That public hearing section of the ZBA was continued in a second ZBA meeting on May 29th, and then additionally on a third ZBA hearing on August 14th. And then, as we've heard tonight, the project was also heard during the Environmental Land Use Committee on September 4th. So acknowledging one of the reasons why that public hearing was extended over 3 nights, because there has been substantial public comment, as you've also heard tonight. Typically, those hearings are held over the course of about 1 evening. So I do want to acknowledge the regret here and the misstep that we took in not holding a community meeting or public house. I think we could have addressed those questions outside of the normal course of ZBA meetings, engaged with the community directly. So we've definitely heard that feedback. We will put that into place for any future projects. That being said, we have worked with the zoning administrator and zoning officer to answer questions that have arisen during the course of the meetings. So although we did not hold that separate community meeting, we believe we were able to address the majority of the questions during the ZBA meetings. Understanding we can't change opinions about the project, we do believe we've addressed many of the concerns, and my colleagues will answer that as well. Quickly addressing at the end one of the waivers, one piece of feedback that we heard loud and clear was about the number of waivers that are requested. So I am hereby amending our application to propose a cash escrow account in the amount equal to 100% of the decommissioning estimate in an escrow agreement agreeable to both parties. So in other words, a surety bond is no longer requested.
Your time has expired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dale Johnson. Sorry.
Can you make your mic
touch one more time? Green. Here you go.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you, board and community. My name is Dale Johnson. I'm a civil engineer at Summit Ridge Energy. I'm here tonight representing the project. I'm a professional engineer with 15 years experience, master's degree in environmental water resources engineering. We have heard from the community regarding the concerns about water quality and stormwater runoff, and we want to acknowledge the importance of Mahomet Aquifer and Spring Lake to the community and the region at large. I will describe some of the site civil considerations for the project as it relates to stormwater management, runoff, erosion control, and groundwater issues. First, project construction of the solar racking is fairly straightforward. The modules are supported by steel piles and metal racking. The piles are driven between 10 to 15 feet into the ground. There is no concrete foundation. The access roads are gravel. The majority of the site remains pervious to stormwater and is stabilized grass or lawn ground cover. The arrays themselves do not have any hazardous materials, and there's no risk of leaching or leakage from the solar panels, which are made of tempered glass, aluminum, and silicon. The project will not change the natural drainage patterns of stormwater and will actually improve the runoff rates from the site. That is because the ground cover we plan to use, native prairie grass and pollinator-friendly plantings, are like a meadow. The ground cover slows stormwater drainage and filters the runoff more than a row crop condition, so that the stormwater does not ultimately drain, that ultimately drains off the site is of higher quality, in particular less total suspended solids and nutrients like phosphorus, since there's not a lot of exposed denuded soils like you'd have in farmland. Based on the topography, the site drains mostly east and west, ultimately to Spring Lake. However, it will not increase in rate and volume and will be of the same quality or better. We contracted Huddleston McBride to conduct a subsurface drainage tile survey. There is some drainage tile on the property, and if we damage it, it will need to be repaired per requirements of the structural design and the AIMA agreement. Any metal piles that are located within 4 feet of a drain tile will be relocated. Any clogged drains will be replaced to ensure that the drainage network will remain functioning for the life of the system. The Agricultural Impact Mitigation Agreement, Illinois law requires each of these things as well. With regards to erosion sediment control, erosion and sediment deposition during construction, we completely understand the concern with regards to sediment runoff, particularly towards Spring Lake. The project will utilize best management practices, or BMPs, such as a rock construction entrance, perimeter silt fence, silt socks throughout the project site, stabilization methods such as applying straw mulch, mulch and seed in order to minimize the likelihood of the sediment being deposited off-site. The project will need to comply with the county stormwater and erosion sediment control ordinance. With regards to screening the project has volunteered to provide an opaque wooden fence to the south and western of the side of the project, along with a staggered dual row of arborvitae trees in order to visually screen the project site from the surrounding neighbors. the over 600 trees being planted. Also, the manufacturer Q Cells has a new state-of-the-art multi-billion-dollar facility in Cartersville, Georgia, with a new program called EcoRecycle, specifically intended to provide a full cycle clean energy program for solar panel recycling. We look forward to continuing to work with the community to address any concerns you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ben Jacoby.
Good evening. My name is Ben Jacoby. I'm the attorney for Mahomet Solar IL project, the Mahomet Solar project in Summit Ridge. I actually grew up in Mahomet. I'm a proud Bulldog class of 2000. My parents lived in Park Hills. My dad still lives in Mahomet. Not to go too far off topic, I think my claim to fame is that I was the 2009 Fisher Fair Demolition Derby winner in the small car division, and I still wear that badge very proudly here and everywhere else. As the attorney, it's my job to talk about the ordinance and the standards. We're all aware of the siding law. That's the elephant in the room, not just here, but in every county. And I don't need to get into the differing opinions on the wisdom of that law here. I'm just not going to go there. I don't need to, because this county has adopted an ordinance that has its own standards that it feels is right. Some of those are consistent, some of those are not with the Illinois siding law, but you have your own ordinance. And the project company here took great care to honor those requirements in your ordinance and the desires of your own community, and they feel they've met those standards. You don't have to take our word for it. The majority of the ZBA also agreed that we met those standards. It was a 3-1 to 1 abstention vote, and you'll see in our letter, you know, as the lawyer, I have to bring up the Prosser rule, but it's a legal majority of the ZBA did find that we met in the affirmative all standards in your ordinance, both for the special use and for the requested waivers. And in fact, this project goes above and beyond those standards. You heard earlier that the panels are American made. That's unique. You know, American panels for Americans built in Georgia. The setbacks here exceed your standards. To the house closest is 417 feet to the panels, which is a far distance. There's 2 rows of vegetative screening as well, which goes beyond what the ordinance requires. I would like to mention that the taxes addressed earlier are about $765,000 over the life of the project, so a substantial number in taxes. The Village of Mahomet didn't object. They could have appeared. They were given notice. Your ordinance allows them to. They have very capable counsel who I know, Joe Chamley, who I've worked with in the past. They didn't object because this is not a growth area for Mahomet. They're not moving that direction on 150. If you want to see where Mahomet's expanding, I'm sure you can see it. All you have to do is drive the other direction on 150 towards Champaign. Looks a lot different than when I was a kid. I can tell you that much. The project itself is on 150, railroad to the north, vacant parcels to the east and west, and then the Spring Lake suburb to the south. But again, 417 feet away with a vegetative screening. That's a pretty good place for solar. I do want to talk about property values. This has come up a time or two. This is an instinctual concern, and I completely appreciate why people are worried. People have been worried about this for a long time, and that is what has made it studied so robustly. In fact, there have been a lot of studies on property values and impacts to property values over the last 10 or 15 years as solar has become more popular. It started out east, and then there have been more Midwest studies, especially recently. We had our own consultant, Cone Resnick, MAI appraisal professionals, conduct a study. They looked at the current literature. They looked at their own matched pair analysis of transactions near solar farms in Illinois and Indiana, and they interviewed tax professionals, the township assessors, to ask them if there had been any change in valuation or tax appeals from houses next to solar farms. And the answer to that was no, and their study overwhelmingly concluded that there is no impact to the property value. But you don't have to take their word for it. You can look at that Loyola study. which looked at solar projects in the Midwest, 5 to 20 megawatts. So this one's on the lower end. And that study showed, quote, that utility scale solar projects increase nearby property values by roughly 0.5 to 2%. That might seem counterintuitive, but the reason that they gave is because the boost in infrastructure like schools tends to also boost the property values in the area. I'm not a property expert. I don't buy and sell as a hobby or as a profession. So I have to rely on the data and the experts, as do most people. And that's what the data and the experts are saying. And so that's what we have to rely on. So I hope that we've earned your vote tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, next, George Danos.
Good evening, board members. I have 3 issues of public interest to bring before you and the broader public. Chair Locke decided to conceal from the public my non-conforming claims report and has decided to distribute hard copies this evening. I used to submit monthly non-conforming purchases reports, but that's because under the old system, there was greater adherence to all board policies, such as the salary administration guidelines, which are on our website. Today, because of the lusty assumption of more power and resources by the county executive, well, we know whom he delegates decisions to, his supposed subordinate, the director of administration. When she combines administrative initiative with such incompatible titles as ethics officer, we get the abomination that was publicized last week, namely that she gave herself a $60,000 annual pay increase on top of her $100,000 salary. Her current total compensation is annualized to $160,260 and is now above that of all electeds paid strictly by the county. Only the sheriff and state's attorney, who get 2/3 of their salary paid by the state, make more than her. Without going through the job evaluation committee, we're bringing this to you. Our ethics officer, yes, she runs roughshod over that incredible conflict of interest, could discern nothing untoward about helping herself. She supposedly assumed the responsibilities, if not actual performance, of the facilities director, and even backdated her pay increase to the first day of the vacancy, giving up the search after only 10 days. Does she put in 75-hour weeks now? With such gravy, why settle for county executive, which, after a strategic reduction designed to chase out incumbent Darlene Kleppel, pays a mere $75,000? Something tells me that a submissive rubber stamp board will grant her a handsome increase if it's her. The public expects you to make any changes in the compensation of the county executive explicit and early. It would be grotesque favoritism and a violation of democratic transparency if you wait for the March primary results before deciding what the job is worth. Do it soon. The second issue is the central administration's claim that we have a $1.7 million deficit. They always predict deficits, but recent history gives the lie to this projection. Let us look at the bottom line. The change in the combined reserves of the county proper's 2 main funds, General Corp and the Public Safety Sales Tax, their combined total at the end of fiscal 2022 was $19.7 million. At the end of 2023, it was $22.7 million. At the end of 2024, it is $25.5 million. Therefore, we are closing surpluses of $3 million and $2.8 million respectively. Moreover, after the sheriff reduced his ask of money to house overflow detainees while the jail was not quite ready, I forecast a $1.6 million reduction in expense this year to be augmented by a further $800,000 reduction in 2026. Administration, your pessimistic negotiating position was unjustified. You simply made the contract 8 months late by being hard-nosed. 3% cost of living increases are certainly less than the increase in the property tax levy. The bonuses, which served as an obvious peace offering for taking so long to conclude negotiations, are still less than the average increase in overall reserves. On September 30th, department heads are invited to discuss cuts to their budgets. I can think of one department where cuts are obviously warranted. Yes, it's the central administration, which instrumentalizes its newfound control over the budget to grow. You used to serve the board. Now the board serves you. You've gone from having one budget director to having 3 finance specialists, 2 additional HR hires, 3 additional accounts payable clerks, 2 additional contractors to help for audit prep, 2 more attempts to straighten out the drainage district and bank reconciliations, and don't forget the unilateral giveaway of late audit fees and ACFR templates to CLA. You're building a mini empire and well nigh doubling your $1 million budget. I'll bring receipts. I'll even mention how admin gave their own employees an end of year bonuses unavailable to other departments. Was that a gesture to keep a lid on the simmering resentments over the capricious and scary way you do things on the 5th floor? Okay, I had a third issue. I'll bring it up next time. Thank you very much.
My card says Bambanek. I'm assuming that's John Bambanek. You're up next.
There is another member of the public who would like to speak. I think there's still time for it, so if he could, I'm sure that he would appreciate it.
I have other slips. If someone else wishes to speak, they need to get a slip and to bring it up to me.
They're on the table out there if you want to grab one. Today's your lucky evening, right? Because I actually came here to drag you. But also being a resident of Mahomet and familiar with the solar farm that's being done out there, listening to people, I had thought about the unique set of circumstances around that project. As you know, among other things, I am rhetorically and litigationally aggressive. I assume you would agree with that. I'm sure the state's attorney's office would. Sending you a memo, the day before this vote, threatening to sue you is a dick move. I'm sure if you look it up in the Urban Dictionary, you would find something similar. I know, it's something I would have done, right? I get it, right? Now, I don't know whether they, in fact, can sue you if you vote no. What I do know about the legal process is if you vote to table, to just defer this discussion, because one, I've heard one of the representatives say, hey, we're going to amend this about a surety bond. I don't know if they sent you formal communication before just now. The first I heard about it's in public comment. They send you a bunch of legal claims that need to be researched. 24 hours isn't enough time to do that. I think kicking the can down the road a month or two and letting the people at this project who said, we'll take it as a takeaway going forward, we'll get community input. Well, vote to table. The motion isn't dead. It's just deferred to another meeting. You can't be a lawsuit until you take action one way or the other. So I think you could table this right now, give them the time to do the community outreach that they recognize they probably should have done in the first place, research their legal claims, and we can be back here in October and November and see where things land. So hope you'll give consideration to that escape hatch tonight on this agenda item.
Thank you. Micah McMahon.
All right. Well, good evening, members of the board. My name is Mike McMahon. I'm a correctional officer with the Champaign County Sheriff's Office. I stand before you today as an elected union representative on behalf of the Illinois FOP Labor Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. The Illinois Labor Council, or FOP Labor Council, represents the men and women who serve this county every single day. We are proud of the work we do, but I'm here tonight because of the suggestion to eliminate unfilled county positions will harm employees, compromise services, and ultimately put your community at risk. In the Sheriff's Office, we've been consistently short-staffed for over 5 years. This is not a temporary problem. It's an ongoing crisis. Every shift, we struggle to cover the posts that keep the jail safe. Every unfilled position adds more weight onto the officers who are already stretched to breaking point. And the dangers are not hypothetical. In just a few months, several correctional officers have been attacked within our jail. These incidents are not only traumatic for the officers involved, but they also highlight how vulnerable we are when staffing levels are inadequate. Despite these challenges, our officers continue to step up. Recently, 2 of my colleagues were recognized with awards from the Fraternal Order of Police for their bravery and actions during an incident at the jail that happened recently. Their courage reflects the best of what we do. It also underscores the dangers we face daily. We should be supporting these officers with adequate staffing, not placing them in greater jeopardy by cutting positions. We've seen what happens when positions are permanently cut. In 2008, several unfilled positions were eliminated here in Champaign County. Those jobs were never restored. The result inside the jail was increased safety and security issues that we have been struggling with ever since. To repeat that mistake now would only compound the staffing crisis that has plagued us for years. High turnover has taken a toll. Over the years, we have lost countless years of institutional knowledge, the kind of experience that helps resolve conflicts, de-escalate dangerous situations, and to train the next generation of officers. Every time an experienced officer leaves, the jail loses more than just a body. It loses judgment, mentorship, and hard-earned expertise. Cutting positions will only accelerate that loss. I also want to remind the board that Champaign County has a state obligation under Illinois law to operate and properly staff a county jail. Cutting vacant positions undermines the county's ability to meet that legal requirement. Beyond the obvious risk to safety, failing to maintain adequate staffing could expose the county to lawsuits, sanctions, or state intervention. This is not a policy choice, it's a legal duty. I know one of the trustees suggested at the recent COW that unfilled positions be cut away as a way to save money. With respect, I must strongly disagree. Those vacancies exist because they are necessary positions. Cutting them may look efficient on paper, but in reality, it guarantees that they will never fill them in the future, even when the need is urgent. For corrections and many other departments, that would be dangerous, short-sighted, and costly in the long run. If you erase those positions, you erase the capacity to meet community needs. Residents expect timely, effective service, and it is our duty to ensure they continue to receive it. I understand the need to balance budgets, but eliminating positions is not a solution. It may create short-term savings, but it guarantees long-term problems. As our county grows, demands on public safety and services will only increase. Once positions are gone, they are extremely difficult to bring back. That leaves us scrambling later at a higher cost and greater risk to the public. There is also a question of fairness. When unfilled positions are cut, the workload does not disappear. It falls on those of us who remain. For over 5 years, my colleagues have been carrying that extra burden. We do it out of dedication, but the result is burnout, declining morale, and higher turnover. This isn't sustainable. If we want to recruit and retain good employees, we need to show them that their work is valued, not taken for granted. On behalf of the Illinois FOP Labor Council and someone who has worked short-staffed for years, I urge you, do not eliminate these positions. Instead, let's focus on recruitment and retention, workplace support, and creative strategies to strengthen our workforce. This decision is not about numbers on a page. It's about safety, fairness, legal responsibility, and long-term resilience of Champaign County. Every time we walk into jail, we know the risks that come with the job, but we ask of you tonight is simple. Do not make those risks worse by cutting the positions that keep us safe, protect our coworkers, and safeguard the public we serve. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your commitment to the people who dedicate their lives to the county every day.
Thank you.
Point of order.
Mr. Sollard.
I believe we've hit our 1 hour mark of public input, and I'd move to extend to however much time.
Okay, we have a motion to extend. Is there a second? Second by JJ. All in favor of extending, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, Jason Elliott Benda.
Good evening. Jason Benda, 1529 Lincolnshire Drive. I am a county employee in the facilities department, a custodian with a duty assignment at Brookins. I had a taxpayer earlier this month who, upon being told where the collector's office had moved to the second floor of this building, said, quote, "This makes it harder for everyone." I come before the board tonight to refute that statement. When I am asked why the county chose to move, I honestly say that I was not paying attention to the actions of this board 4 years ago when the decisions to purchase and renovate this building were being discussed. However, I can say two things. One, as this building is across the street from the courthouse, it consolidates the public functions of county government geographically in a convenient way that residents of most counties in this state expect. And two, this building is far more convenient for those who are not dependent on a car. I, generally speaking, do not drive to work. And if my duty assignment were here at Bennett instead of at Brookins, it would reduce my commute by 30 minutes each direction. That's my own personal example of how much easier it is to get downtown than to our previous location. I am cognizant that this board has been criticized from this spot for favoring urban issues over rural ones. And I can imagine the 6 seats to my right seeing an urban bias in my words, as we have traded a building surrounded by parking lots for a building in our county's urban core. I concede that bias. I choose to live in the urban portion of our county. One reason among many for this is a desire on my part not to be car dependent. I reiterate that for the 70% of the county's population that lives in the 8 districts representing the urban area of the county, this is more convenient access to county services. We have 13 labeled visitor parking spaces along the south side of this building, plus 5 spaces for persons with disabilities. Is there adequate visitor parking if 50 taxpayers show up at the same time to visit the collector? Or if 50 candidates show up at the same time to deliver nominating petitions to the clerk? No. Should there have to be? I say also no. Given this building's place in the urban core, with a major CUMTD transfer point visible from its lobby, I do not believe that the county requires the amount of parking for its visitors that we required when we were at Brookins. I did have a concern about adequate parking for meetings of this board, particularly as we see tonight, when board meetings are well attended, a fact about which we should rejoice. But as we learned in July, board members themselves park in the employee unreserved parking lot right out here. And if more than the visitor spaces are needed, as certainly they have been tonight, the city-owned parking deck on the corner, diagonally across the intersection of Broadway and Main from our building, is free to all at the time this board meets. Most of you probably haven't seen a person with mobility difficulties struggle up that 175-foot sidewalk at Brookins, only to be told he's in the wrong building. That's been one of the most frustrating things I've seen at work this month. And that doesn't happen here, as those 5 spaces I mentioned a moment ago for persons with disabilities are just outside the door. Even if someone is in the wrong building, it's not the same. I have had occasion here at Bennett to direct someone to the circuit clerk's office. And I must say, it feels a lot better to send them across the street than it did running into the same issue at Brookins. Change is challenging after 29 years. That's true for the county employees who made the move and those less directly affected. It is true for the public, and it will continue to be true for some time, as I mentioned before committee last week. But it's always been here is a powerful yet unhelpful refrain that I hear regularly from the public at Brookins. I have heard many opinions about this move, most of them complaints from members of the public. I expect some of the concerns about how this move was handled by various department heads to show up at the ballot box next year. And I think that is fair for the public to say that. However, the assertion that this move makes it harder for everyone, or that county government being in this space, irrespective of the trials and tribulations of getting here, which will all fade with time from the public consciousness, is somehow not in the best interest of the county, or writ large, the people we serve, is an assertion with which I must disagree. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ted Hardkey.
Good evening, folks. I'll start out. I'm Ted Harkey. I'm an engineer and a land surveyor. I have an engineering business here in the county. One of the comments that came from the developer tonight was that the amount of taxes they'd pay per year was, I think, $19,000. I think all of you are familiar with a really good mechanic here around the corner called Long's Garage. Long's Garage pays $29,000 a year in property taxes. So this solar farm is not even paying as much as one mechanic shop here in town. So I don't think that's anything for the solar company to brag about, and how much taxes they pay. Some of my other notes here. Yes, this morning I found out about the lawsuit threat letter that you guys got yesterday. And other folks, they know I'm kind of a lightning rod for this kind of stuff, so they sent me an email today with a copy of a outcome of a lawsuit that happened in Winnebago County. Several counties in Illinois have voted no against solar farms. Boone has voted no 3 times on 3 different projects. In Winnebago County, I'm going to talk about them in a minute, they voted no. Vermilion County voted no. Coles County voted no about, I think, in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. So you guys aren't going to be the first ones that rejected the solar farm just because of any reason whatsoever. So here's the outcome of the Winnebago County no vote. They voted no. And after the solar company filed a lawsuit and went through all the adjudication and legal proceedings, and this was the outcome. The county prevailed, and it was because counties have the ultimate yes or no vote at the legislative level. There's no other entity in the state of Illinois that's going to override your vote. And this is going to be kind of some piecemeal parts of this. The county board is a legislative body. There's no state body that can override a county zoning decision. A local ordinance may impose a more rigorous or definite regulations in addition to those enacted by the state, so as long as they do not conflict with the state. In this project, I testified many times that the noise level exceeded the IPCB noise levels for nuisance noise. Okay. The noise level which begins adverse health effects is 40 dBA. The solar company, they refused to place fences around the inverters to achieve the nuisance noise avoidance, which I requested. They said it's not going to matter, not going to make an impact. The solar company also testified that they needed the maximum allowable noise level allowed in the state of Illinois. And they proceeded to say that we meet underneath the maximum numerical noise level standards in Illinois, but said nothing about the nuisance levels. The reason I'm concerned about this is because solar inverters are a very annoying buzzing sound. Okay, so a citizen questioned the developer about noise. The developer said, living next to our solar farm would be like living next to a cemetery. Man, as soon as they said it, I jumped up at my next opportunity. I asked them, so which is it? Is it going to be like living next to a cemetery, or are you requesting the maximum noise allowable in the state of Illinois? The developer retracted her cemetery note and said that she was only talking rhetorically, and actually they needed the maximum allowable noise levels in Illinois. As far as the state law goes, there's a Senator Resin and Senator Cunningham. In the lawsuit against Winnebago County, this is quoted in the summary. Both of them agreed that the solar development regulation is shared between the state and counties, and the state law was established to keep counties from completely shutting out wind and solar. And they have hearings so that local control still remains. And you guys did that with your zoning meetings. When a special use permit is proposed, a legislative body must make an independent determination if a project is compatible with the surrounding area. That's why we have zoning here. A county board's decision to grant or deny a project is a matter of discretion, and this is true even if the board failed to rigidly adhere to their local standards or the state standards when passing or failing a special use application. The outcome of this Winnebago County lawsuit in favor of the county happened on July 9th, 2025, just a month and a half ago. This sets a precedent that shows that if you guys vote no and ignore the pressure or bully letter you got yesterday, this precedent will keep you from losing a lawsuit. And
Your time has elapsed, Mr.
Thank
Hart.
you for
Sorry.
letting us comment tonight. You've been very gracious. Thank you.
And I owe an apology to Mr. Ronaldo Camus. There is one more speaker. Mr. Hartke should have been the last one. It was my error, so I apologize. Excuse me, 2 mistakes. Mr. Hawkinson will be next. Mr. Camus will be after that. Thank you. My apologies.
Yes, you can hear me. Thank you. Good evening, Champaign County Board and community members, for allowing us to speak tonight. My name is Kyle Hawkinson. I'm a colleague of Ben, Dale, and Bridget here tonight speaking. I'm the Director of Project Management for our Midwest Operations team at Summit Ridge Energy. I have a degree in mechanical engineering and also hold a industry credential from the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. I hold a what's called a PV-CMS, or a photovoltaic commissioning and maintenance specialist certificate from that body. I've been in the industry for 10 years. I started as an installer in 2015, climbing through the ranks of service departments, project engineering, and project management, ultimately landing at the position that I hold today at Summit Ridge Energy. I'll be speaking, hopefully quickly, on 2 topics. I'm part of Mahomet Solar One LLC, solar modules, as was discussed earlier, and then also some vegetation matters. And of course, we're open to taking any questions from the board and also the community tonight. Mahomet Solar and Summit Ridge Energy are extremely proud, as has been our effort over several years to develop a domestic supply chain for our projects that is produced wholly in the United States with American labor, including of many project components, transformers, inverters, breaker panels, racking, steel, conduit, wire, and probably the largest component of our projects, the modules themselves. So modules, in everybody's mind here, is a solar panel. After years of preparation, negotiation, and hard work in partnership with our module manufacturer, Hanwha Q-Cells, the solar modules for Mahomet Solar will be produced and manufactured from Hanwha's newly constructed Cartersville, Georgia production facility, as Dale mentioned earlier. The solar modules themselves are primarily composed of aluminum and silicon and will not contain any hazardous materials, but just in case there are any concerns, we want to be very clear. There is use of solder in solar panels in the industry, including our modules themselves. So to say, Hanwha uses nowadays, and is the industry standard, what is called lead-free solder in their module production. However, the product safety data sheet in the modules themselves states that the modules are in compliance with the industry standard, which is ROHS, the restriction of hazardous substances. That directive requires modules and many consumer electronics, including the cell phones, electronics in your cars, TVs, computers, things that consumers run into on a daily basis that they have in their possession, their homes, much like, as we said, we use those materials in our daily lives. The solar panels meet that same directive and standard. There are no risks, therefore, from our perspective, for modules leaking or leaching lead into the ground, as the solder itself meeting that directive under ROHS. That material and the solder itself is not soluble in water and does not evaporate into the air, and therefore we believe again that it poses no risk to county residents from a hazardous material standpoint, and happy to take questions on that later tonight. Additionally, speaking on the vegetation piece, as was discussed earlier, Mahomet Solar is committed to using native pollinator-friendly mixes. We work closely with the University of Illinois Extension Office in Southern Illinois to choose a pollinator-friendly mix that was suitable for a project in Belleville, Illinois. And that's also to say too, as has been maybe stated tonight, I don't know if folks picked up on it on the board, We have 100 projects in the state of Illinois. It might have been spoken to on previous meetings, 40 of which are currently in construction. 100 of those, as I just mentioned, they're in operation in communities just like this community. Finishing up here, the permanent vegetative cover for the project that will become a meadow over the project's life and return to the agricultural use at the end of the project's life. I think somebody spoke earlier about the meadow. It's going to be used for its intended use. If it wants to be returned to farmland, it will be at the end of the project's life. During the project's operation, the site will, essentially that ground cover will lay fallow, which will stabilize and restore the soil nutrients, unlike chemical herbicides and fertilizers that would be used for commercial agricultural production. For ultimately letting that ground lay fallow, it will help the soil nutrients return to that soil for the next generation of agricultural use. And again, thank you for letting our company and the community speak tonight.
Thank you. And Ronaldo Camus.
Hello, County Board. It's been a bit since I've been here. I would like to echo some of the points made by some of the people over here who had previous comments. For example, as a student, it makes it a lot easier for me to come to County Board meetings by having it in this building because MTD does run heavily in campus. So I would really appreciate the comment that yes, it makes it easier for students to get engaged with county board politics and their local politics by having the board meetings here and by having services here in this building. Another thing that I noticed is that I haven't been going to some of the county board meetings, unfortunately, because of, the start of the semester. So I've been watching the live streams and unfortunately the audio's messed up. And so making sure that the audio is fixed because we need to ensure that everyone has access to those videos, that they can look back and see who's speaking and everything like that. Also, if you are speaking, even if it's out of turn, you should probably turn on your microphone to ensure that everyone at home knows what you're saying. Second point, I'm concerned about this lawsuit that's been brought up. I'm unaware of what's going on back, but if this lawsuit, this letter, I don't think the board should be pressured in any way, shape, or form to vote in any way by outside organizations. The board was elected to represent the will of the people, and that's what the board should do. And no outside factors should contribute to that decision. That's ridiculous, really. And so I'm concerned about that. I'm all for solar and renewable energy. The climate change is happening, but no matter what organization or what they're doing, they should not threaten a lawsuit for you not approving something. And okay, last thing. Let's see. I'll pull it up just to make sure. I kind of want to discuss a little bit of what happened in the Champaign County Committee of the Whole August 12th. When I made public comment about the post that Samantha Carter made. And in that county board meeting, she decided to take a picture of me for some reason. I don't know why. But if the public wants to see, this is the picture of her taking a picture of me. I'm sorry, but that's really inappropriate. You're not supposed to take. Anyone who stands in here should have the liberty to say what they want. That's what public comment is for. You do not get to interrupt them, and you don't get to take a picture of them after the meeting. That's completely inappropriate because that can be considered intimidation. I clearly am not intimidated. I'm here and I will continue to come to these meetings because no one is going to silence my voice. I am, again, passionate about politics, passionate in any level of politics. This is why I come to these meetings regularly. And that's why I speak in front of all you whenever there's something that I do not agree with. And so, Ms. Carter, that was really inappropriate. You should not be taking pictures of anyone, even if you disagree with what they say. You should, stick to the consequences of your actions, as I said in the last meeting. One last point. There's some decisions that the county board has made recently that, to me, I understand, but to the people who do not regularly watch these meetings may not understand. I do think the county board has a communications problem. You guys are not connecting with voters and explaining the decisions that you make. For example, adding positions. I understand why you added those positions because I've been to those meetings, but you added positions when we ran last election on the fact that we were running out of money. We're gonna have a deficit. So be sure that you have clear communications whenever you do any action taken. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public input. I did have a request for a 5-minute recess at this point, so let's take a short 5-minute recess. Thank you.
Heard a lot about you. Well,
All right, folks, let's go ahead and begin again. We've got a lot of work to do. If Matt gets back, he can read the roll again. All right, folks, we are back in session. I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll again to make sure that we're all here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Rogers.
Present.
Settles.
Present.
Sullard.
Here.
Thorsland.
Here.
Vintage Theory.
Here.
Here. Cagle. Carter. Cowart.
Present.
Crane.
Here.
Esri.
Here.
Farney.
Here.
Fava.
Here.
Greer.
Here.
Hanover Friedman.
Here.
Lockshin.
Here.
Pugh. Locke.
Here.
We do have a quorum with our amended agenda. Next up would be our ARPA update. Kathy, you want to come up and give us some information?
Good evening. We updated the information in the monthly memo and charts as far as expenditures and project updates. We do also have an update on the business grant program that EDC is coordinating, and they did receive 87 applications so far, and they're working through those, and they'll keep us posted with more information, and we'll keep you updated. And then I'd be happy to try to answer other specific questions if you have any.
Ms. Carter.
I want to talk about the small business program. I was just wondering why we weren't consulted in on the meeting. You know, every meeting that you've presented, I've asked for updates, and then I was excluded for the meeting. Could you tell me why?
I was not part of a meeting, so I'm not aware of what meeting that might have been.
Did you have communication between Miss Carly?
Back in 2023 or 24, when we drafted the agreement, was when we had communication.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else with questions for Kathy? Seeing none, Kathy, thank you for your patience. Appreciate it. Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion? JJ? And a second? Second, Beth? Chair Locke.
I would ask to remove item C6 from consent agenda, the resolution number 2025/259, in order to reflect the minor changes that were identified by Attorney Joel Fletcher, just adding a signature line and changing spelling. It's still different than what we voted on last week. So I would ask to move item C6 from consent to 15A and put it in when we reach the part of the agenda dealing with the cow.
Seems like the appropriate spot, and any member can remove an item from consent. All right, that item we will consider at that point. All right, we have a motion and a second. There's no discussion. Could a clerk please call the roll?
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rogers.
Yes.
Settles.
Yes.
Sollard.
Yes.
Dorsland.
Yes.
Finich Thiernot.
Yes.
Wiggs.
Yes.
Cagle.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Cowart.
Yes.
Crane.
Yes.
Esri.
Yes.
Farney.
Yes.
Fava.
Yes.
Greer.
Yes.
Hanover Friedman.
Yes.
Lokshin.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of August 21st, 2025? Forsland, motion. Can I have a second? Second, Crane. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify yes.
Aye.
I'll change it up. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Summary of action taken at the September 2nd, 2025 facilities meeting is received and placed on file. Summary of action taken at September 4th ELOC meeting is received and placed on file. Would the chair of ELOC like to make the motion for the next item, please?
Yes. I move to deny ordinance number 2025-11 for special use case 162S25 for Mahomet, Illinois Solar 1 LLC, care of Summit Ridge Energy LLC PV solar farm, including the decommissioning and site reclamation. And after a second, I do have another motion.
Is there a second? All right. By Jamala. Chair Thorsland.
All right, I move to amend the previous motion to amend ordinance 2025-11 to change the Part D waiver to be a waiver to allow financial assurance in the form of a cash escrow account in an amount equal to 100% of the decommissioning estimate in an escrow agreement agreeable to both Mahomet, Illinois Solar 1 LLC, care of Summit Ridge Energy LLC, and Champaign County prior to the issuance of a zoning use permit in lieu of the requested surety bond in lieu of a letter of credit per section 615Q.
Okay, is there a second? Second, Member Locke. Is there any discussion? Mr. Farney.
Yeah, I'd like to move that we table item 1 in its entirety, including this amendment, so that the amendment can go through the committee process, and then we would consider the adoption of ordinance 2025-11 at the October 23 full county board meeting.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table. That takes a simple majority, I believe. Somebody here with their Roberts coat on. Go ahead, JJ.
It does, but I'd like to speak to the reason that I'd like to.
Certainly, go ahead.
So I think there's a couple of different issues. There were issues that were brought up in public comment this evening. Additionally, we have a brand new member to the board tonight who has not been privy to the same communications. And this is a huge decision we're making. And the idea that we're asking a new board member to make a decision not having the same information that the other 21 members of this board has, it's just not right. So I believe tabling this for a month so that we can all be up to speed, have the same information when we make this decision, as well as getting legal advice on the proposed amendment, is the best course of action for us to take tonight.
Further discussion? Eric, go ahead.
Thanks. I actually agree with John for other reasons. And as far as endangering the board, we're already past the deadline that the state mandates. So we're already late. And if the bus comes a little later, we're just going to stand around a little bit longer. So I would support tabling this as well.
Further discussion from the board. Ms. Carter.
I think this is a wise decision. I'm appalled by the fact that this company did not reach out to the community. That should have been the first step. And the fact that we're here and they have not had great communication is not acceptable. So my vote was going to be no anyway. So a table, I'll definitely vote for. Thank you.
Further board comments? Go ahead, Eric.
Well, just to clarify, if we were voting on it tonight, a no vote would be to pass it because the motion was to deny. So, and that was something I was going to explain, but I'm in support of tabling it so that we have our time to wrap our heads around it.
Well, thank you for that clarification.
Okay. All right, not seeing any other hands. We have the motion to table. Let's do a roll call to make sure I have the count right, although I don't think we're going to be that close. Could we please have a roll call?
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Settles,
Yes.
Sollard,
Yes.
Dorsland,
Yes.
Banish Thiernot,
Yes.
Wiggs,
Yes.
Cagle,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Crane,
Yes.
Yes.
Farney,
Yes.
Fava,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Hanauer Friedman,
Yes.
Lockshin,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Well, that was certainly a waste of your time, Matt. Thank you, though. Motion is tabled. Let's see. Moving on. Summary of action taken at the September 5th highway meeting is received and placed on file. Areas of responsibility, summary of action taken for September 9th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting is received and placed on file. And we will now vote on the adoption of resolution number 2025-259, authorizing a reconciliation fund settlement agreement relating to the payment of claims from the President's versus Champaign County Board of Review et al. 15L75. Can I have a motion? Motion to approve by Chair Locke. Is there a second? Second by Aaron Esri. Discussion. Chair Locke.
In spirit, this is exactly what we voted on last week at the COW. The only changes are a signature line was added and some misspellings were corrected, but Joel had asked specifically in his very wonderful Joel Fletcher way that we vote on it since any changes were made. So that's all.
Further comments or discussion from the board? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Let's see. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-261 authorizing payment of claims? Motion by Vanish Therinot, second by Thorsland. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-262, purchases not following the purchasing policy? JJ? Second from Esri. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Sollard.
I move to amend to remove the second line regarding the administrative services as it is not properly listed on this form.
We have a motion to amend. Is there a second? Mr. Farney, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of the amended resolution, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we now have an amended resolution. All in favor of approval of the amended resolution, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, can I get a motion to approve the adoption of resolution number 2025-263 authorizing the execution of a deed of conveyance of the county's interest on real estate permanent parcel 26-30-9-177-004. Motion by Vanish Therinot. Is there a second? Second by Locke. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The property tax levy rate projection for fiscal 2026 is in your packet for information. We've already done the ARPA update. The grant coordinators update is in the packet. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-265 approving the employee health insurance and related benefit plans for fiscal year 2026? Motion by Emily, second. I'm sorry, who was over it? I know it was over on this side. Okay, second by Jenny Lockshin. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we are now at board communications. Do any members of the board have communications to share? Ms. Carter.
Yes, I would like to say thank you to Champaign County Board. I think I kind of put it all in perspective, what my ancestors maybe have endured living in this county. If you benefit from white supremacy, you'll never talk against it. Thank you.
Eric, did you have a hand up as well?
I did, but Aaron was ahead of me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aaron. I've been out of order a couple times tonight, so
just I mentioned this at ELUC, but I'll mention it again. This maybe has a little bit of a wider audience. Harvest is here now. It's still not in my immediate neck of the woods in full swing, but it is going on. My dad and myself were in the field, and neighbors are too. So again, just if you're out and about in the county, just be a little more aware and slow down, please, and hopefully we can all be safe and not have any accidents between vehicles and farm equipment. Thank you.
My apologies, Aaron. I was going to do my harvest prayer tonight, but I thought it was too early. So clearly I needed to talk with some ag interest before I do that prayer next time. So, all right. Thanks.
Never too late.
Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Wilson's not here tonight. He talked about 9/11, which fell in between these meetings, and all the people that died and how solemn that was and terrible. And I will say that I had a plane ticket for the next day, and I flew into New York City about 10 days after it happened, landed to the south, looked out the window, and it was still smoking, and a very different skyline. And that was a terrible thing. And we should think about those people that died in that attack all the time. But then I started to think about some of the other things we talk about and some recent events that have happened in our country that have dominated the news. And I just wanted to point out some things about guns and gun deaths. In 2024, there was 44,000 gun deaths in the country. These numbers seem low, but they check out. People 18 and under, 2,227 in 2024. Under 12, 251. The leading cause of death among young children that's accidental is apparently getting shot. This is what the statistics say. I want to check that. There were 18 school shootings in 2024. I'm sorry, there was, yeah, and there was, no, I'm sorry. School shootings resulted in 18 dead people in 2024, 59 injured. There was 0 podcasters killed in 2024 by shooting. 13 of the shootings were confirmed political, but there's a very high bar. 15 of the top 20 states are red states for gun deaths. The highest states for gun deaths are Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. None of the states the National Guard's been sent to stop gun violence. And the highest city for gun violence is St. Louis, Missouri. So while we think about people that die in terror attacks and we think about people that died on 9/11 and we think about people who died in general, we have to also understand that for some reason, 44,000 people a year, we don't think about that much. And I appreciate everything the board's done here, especially Ellie and the grant coordinator in getting these gun locks out and things, because if it stops one, that's one less than 44,000. And thank you very much for that.
Ms. Lokshin.
This last week has been pretty tumultuous in national politics, as all of you know. I just want to say that if you believe the silencing of dissent and suppression of First Amendment rights isn't happening or won't happen to you, you are wrong. If you think everything that has happened in the past week is fine, you need to ask yourself whether you truly support First Amendment rights, because they should be for all, not just for some that you deem worthy. And make no mistake, the path we're on will eventually lead to your silencing as well. I'm not asking you to agree with people who don't share your politics, but silencing millions of people is not who we should be as a country. Removing media you don't agree with instead of simply turning off the TV or canceling the feed should not be who we are as a country. Now is the time to speak up and speak out. We can't continue on this path because soon we will all lose the ability to speak.
Further board communications. JJ.
Hearing what Mr. Thorson said, another part of that is also that a lot of gun deaths are suicide. And so remember, you matter. And if you need somebody to talk to, I know any one of us will talk to you, but you matter. Nice hat.
Jamala.
I just want to remind everybody that on October 4th of this year, there will be a public meeting taking place in Urbana at the University of Illinois for the Illinois African Descent Citizens Reparations Commission at Cranard.
Thank you. Mr. Sollard.
I'm wearing my pink socks again, so I'm here to talk to you about the American Cancer Society Men Wear Pink campaign that I've been working on. I have an event to tell you all about now. Previously, I was just telling you that I was doing it, but October 8th, 5 to 7 at Hotel Royer, right across the street here. We're doing a celebrity bartending event. I'll be there behind the bar, as will Mayor Deshaun Williams and CUSF CEO and breast cancer survivor Michelle Gonzalez, also behind the bar with me. Everybody's welcome. It's open to the public. Hope everyone can stop by. There will be 10% of bar sales going to the cause, 100% of celebrity bartending tips go to the cause, and there'll be some silent auction items as well. So I want to invite not just everybody around this table, but everybody out sitting in the gallery and anyone watching online. Hope to see as many of you as there we can.
Thank you, Matt. Ellie.
More on guns. I just wanted to share, and folks have talked about suicide. Suicide is the majority of gun deaths in this country, and September is Suicide Awareness Month. So this is all good timing. The county, as was mentioned, is providing free gun locks and gun safes to the community, and a couple of events coming up. Just wanted to make sure people knew about. We'll be handing those out at the Champaign Public Library on September 23rd from 6 to 7:30, and at the Tolano Library Saturday, September 27th from 11 to 12:30, and there will be a date in Mahomet coming up pretty soon. We just haven't confirmed that yet. So you can always look on our website, which is Champaign Gun Safety. So thank you.
Thank you. Brett.
Yes, since Mr. Wilson's not here, I just want to remind people that today is the birthday of the United States Air Force, so at least we got that one in. Also, tomorrow is the first date for your Illini men's hockey team. It's $13, $5 for kids. It's a great event, very family friendly, and very cheap concessions. The women start on October 11th, and their games are free, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Seeing no further hands, and as we have no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.